Hello and welcome to the Business English Podcast. I'm Rob, your guide to mastering the language of professional success. Today, we're tackling something that's become a make or break skill in our digital world. Virtual presentations. Specifically, how do you keep an online audience hooked? We'll dive into interactive language cues, using polls and Q&A effectively, and, because it helps all of us, how to handle those inevitable tech glitches with style. But before we get into all of that, let me tell you about our hero, Charlie. Picture this. Charlie's a sharp marketing manager originally from Spain and is now working in the heart of London. He's got a solid grip on English, but last Thursday, he's pacing his tiny flat in Shoreditch, laptop open, coffee going cold. Why? Well, tomorrow's a big day. A virtual presentation to a group of international clients who could green light his latest campaign. The stakes are high and Charlie's mind is racing. How do I stop them scrolling their phones, he mutters. What if my Wi-Fi drops out mid-sentence? Does this strike a chord with you? Maybe you've been in Charlie's shoes, staring at a screen, heart pounding, wondering how to make your voice cut through the digital noise. Or perhaps you've had that moment where your slides freeze and you're left scrambling. It's tough, right? Virtual presentations aren't about delivering info, they're about keeping people engaged when they're one click away from disappearing. And for non-native speakers like Charlie, and maybe you too, it's not just the tech that's tricky, it's finding the right words to sound confident and professional. So here's the question. What if there was a way to turn that anxiety into a superpower? What if Charlie and you could master a few key skills to captivate any online audience, no matter the time zone or tech hiccups? That's exactly what we're going to unpack today. Stick with me because by the end of this episode, you'll have the tools to transform your next virtual presentation from stressful to standout. And trust me, there's a twist in Charlie's story you won't want to miss. How will he handle the chaos when it all goes live? Let's find out together. Okay, let's continue our virtual presentation masterclass. We're right in the middle of our exciting journey. We've met Charlie already and we know he's got a major online pitch tomorrow and the pressure's on. Now we're diving into the why behind the skills we're unpacking in this masterclass. Skills like using interactive language cues, leveraging polls and Q&A sessions, and gracefully navigating those inevitable tech hiccups. These aren't just nice to haves, they're absolute game changers for anyone using business English in today's virtual world. Let's start with engagement, because that's really the heart of it all. Imagine this for a second. In a traditional in-person meeting, you've got a front row seat to your audience's reactions. You can spot the moment someone's attention drifts. Maybe they're doodling in the margins of their notepad or stealing a quick peek at their watch. But online, it's a different story. You're staring at a grid of faces, or worse, just a bunch of initials. And you've got no idea what's happening on the other side of those screens. Are they drafting emails, scrolling through X, maybe even sneaking off to whip up a quick sandwich? That's where interactive language cues come into play. These are simple conversational prompts like asking a quick question or tossing out a "what's your take on this?" that shifts your presentation from a one-way monologue into something that feels more like a lively discussion. They're subtle, but they work wonders to reel people back in, even if they're just mentally nodding along. Then we've got polls and Q&A sessions, which are like your secret weapon for transforming a passive audience into active participants. Imagine you're in Charlie's shoes, pitching a new project to a group of clients. You pause for a moment and say, which of these benefits matter to you most? In an instant, they're not just listening, they're engaged, clicking away, and you've gained real-time insight into what's on their minds. It's a win-win. Q&A sessions take that interactivity even further. When you open the floor to questions, your audience isn't just watching anymore, they're helping steer the conversation. It's a powerful way to build connection and make your message stick. And of course, we can't ignore the elephant in the room: technology. In the virtual world, glitches aren't a question of if, they're a question of when. Your screen freezes mid-slide, your microphone decides to take a break, or your internet drops out at the worst possible moment. It could spell disaster, but it doesn't have to. Handling these moments with confidence and composure doesn't just save your presentation, it actually elevates your credibility. Let's think about Charlie again. He's halfway through his pitch tomorrow when, bam, his slides vanish. Does he stumble and panic? Or does he flash a calm smile, pivot to a backup plan, and keep the momentum going? We'll circle back to how that unfolds later, but here's the takeaway. Mastering this skill can make you look like an unshakable pro no matter what the tech gods throw your way. So why do these skills matter so much? Well, because they don't just help you scrape by in a virtual presentation, they empower you to excel. They give you the tools to connect with a distracted colleague dialing in from New York, captivating a client joining from Tokyo, or inspire your team scattered across London, all while sounding polished and professional in business English. But here's the real question. How do you put these into practice without tripping over your words or losing your audience? And what's the one mistake even experienced presenters make that can derail everything? Stick with me, we're about to dive into the practical how-to next. Okay, we're rolling through our virtual presentation masterclass. So far, we've established why keeping an online audience engaged is absolutely critical, especially in a world where attention spans are shorter than ever. Now, let's shift gears and get hands-on. How do you actually use interactive language cues, polls, Q&A sessions, and tech glitch fixes to deliver a standout virtual presentation? We're going to break it all down step by step with some practical phrases you can start using right away. We'll start with those interactive language cues, the verbal nudges that keep your audience hooked. Then move on to the polls and Q&A to spark participation, and wrap up with how to stay unflappable when technology goes sideways. But before we jump in, a quick shout out. If you're loving this masterclass and you want more actionable tips like these, be sure to sign up for our weekly email newsletter. You'll get pro insights delivered straight to your inbox, plus a full transcript of an episode. And if you're ready to take your business English to the next level, check out the Business English Podcast Premium subscription for exclusive resources. Links are in the show notes. Let's kick things off with interactive language cues. Here's a classic phrase to try. What do you think is the biggest challenge in virtual presentations? What do you think is the biggest challenge in virtual presentations? This is perfect for opening a topic, say, when you're pitching a fresh idea to your team. It's a rhetorical question, so no one's scrambling to unmute, but it lights a spark in their minds. The magic here is the word you. It's personal, direct, and turns a bland statement into an engaging hook. It's a small tweak with a big impact. Next, we have, how would you apply this strategy in your next meeting? How would you apply this strategy in your next meeting? Try dropping this mid-presentation, maybe after you've outlined a concept like boosting efficiency. It invites your audience to imagine themselves putting it into action. And the secret sauce? That conditional would. It's low pressure and hypothetical, so it feels approachable, but it still gets their gears turning. Now, let's take a look at polls and Q&A. For polls, keep it quick and friendly. Here's a solid opener. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this. Let's do a quick poll. Which of these features interests you the most? I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this. Let's do a quick poll. Which of these features interests you the most? Use this when you're presenting options like new product features to a client. The phrase, "I'd really love to hear," adds a warm, human touch. It's not about gathering data, it's about building a connection. Follow up by sharing the results to keep the momentum going. And for Q&A, set expectations early. Try this. I'll be opening the floor for questions at the end, so please feel free to jot down anything that comes to mind as we go. I'll be opening the floor for questions at the end, so please feel free to jot down anything that comes to mind as we go. Drop this at the beginning of your session, say during a project update. Jot down is the key. It's casual yet clear, encouraging engagement without putting anyone on the spot. If you're feeling bold and it's a live session, go with these. Feel free to unmute yourself or pop your question in the chat whenever you're ready. Feel free to unmute yourself or pop your question in the chat whenever you're ready. This works mid-presentation, maybe during a brainstorming call. Feel free keeps it relaxed and optional, maintaining an open, collaborative vibe. Finally, tech glitches. When disaster strikes, stay composed with this. Apologies, it looks like we've hit a small technical snag. Give me a moment to switch to my backup slides. Apologies, it looks like we've hit a small technical snag. Give me a moment to switch to my backup slides. Imagine your screen freezing during a sales pitch. This line keeps you in control and exudes calm. Snag downplays the issue and "give me a moment" signals you've got a handle on it. These phrases are your toolkit, but how do you deliver them naturally without sounding like a script-reading robot? And what's Charlie going to do tomorrow when his Wi-Fi decides to test his patience? We're tackling those questions, plus some must-know pitfalls and pro tips in the next segment. Stay with me. Right, we're charging toward the final stretch of our virtual presentation masterclass. So far, we've equipped Charlie, our star from London, with a toolkit of interactive language cues, polls, Q&A strategies, and a rock-solid approach to tech glitches. He's ready to take on his big pitch tomorrow. But here's where the rubber meets the road. Even with the sharpest tools can dull if you don't wield them correctly. What are the slip-ups that could throw you off course, and how do you sidestep them with finesse? Let's dig into the common errors that trip up virtual presenters, especially non-native speakers, and unpack some clever tips to make these skills absolutely shine. First up, let's tackle a classic mistake: overdoing the interactivity. You're fired up, brimming with enthusiasm, tossing out questions like, "What do you think about this?" every other sentence, or popping polls left and right, maybe one every 5 minutes. It feels engaging in your head, but suddenly your audience is zoning out, exhausted, or worse, irritated. I've seen this a lot with non-native speakers who are eager to connect. They lean too hard into these tools and accidentally overload everyone. And here's a curveball. It's not just about quantity. Culture plays a role too. In places like Japan or Germany, where restraint and formality often reign, constant prompting can come off as pushy or impolite rather than friendly. So what's the solution? It's all about balance. Try this. One well-placed poll, a couple of thoughtful cues sprinkled throughout, and perhaps a Q&A at the end to wrap things up. Less is more here. Keep your audience intrigued and hungry for more, not drowning in participation. Now let's shift to something sneakier: grammar traps. Picture yourself using an interactive cue. Say, what you think is the best challenge in virtual presentations? Sounds okay at first, right? Well, hold on, there's a hitch. You've dropped the do, and to a native ear, it's glaring. Non-native speakers often skip auxiliaries like do or are when the pressure's on, and it's a dead giveaway of uncertainty. Same goes for Q&A. You might say, you have question? Instead of the crisp, do you have a question? These are tiny slip-ups, but they chip away at your polish. The fix is simple but powerful. Practice the full structure: subject, auxiliary, verb. It's not just about getting the grammar right, it's about projecting confidence that sticks with your listeners. Nail this and you'll sound like a pro every time. Next, let's talk about a poll blunder that's all too common: timing it wrong. You're in the groove, hammering home a critical point, maybe how your next idea slashes costs, and then, out of nowhere, you hit them with, let's take a poll. It's like slamming the brakes on a high-speed car chase in a movie. It just jars you. I once heard about a presenter in India who had a stellar sales pitch rolling, only to derail it with a random poll about lunch options. The audience groaned and the moment was lost. Timing's everything and relevance is king. Your poll has to tie into your topic, or you risk losing them entirely. Here's the pro move. Slot your polls at natural transitions, say after wrapping up one section and before diving into the next. It's seamless, keeps the energy flowing, and feels intentional, not forced. Tech glitches? Oh, they're a whole different beast. The biggest misstep here is having no backup plan. Imagine this: your slides crash mid-presentation and you're left fumbling, muttering, wait a sec, your credibility takes a nosedive right there. In high-stakes cultures like the US or UK, where preparation is practically a religion, this is a cardinal sin. Another trap? Over-apologizing. Sorry, so sorry. Oh no, please bear with me. It's excessive and makes you look rattled. Instead, keep it tight. One calm apology. Apologies, let's switch gears. This does the trick. And so the tip here is test everything beforehand. Mic, slides, Wi-Fi, not once, but twice. And always have a fallback, like a PDF of your slides to hand. Pros don't gamble, they prep. Here's a cultural twist non-native speakers might miss. Silence. In places like Scandinavia, a thoughtful pause is no big deal. People appreciate the space to reflect. But in fast-paced English-speaking settings like a New York boardroom or a London briefing, dead air feels like a void. If your Q&A flops and no one pipes up, don't just stand there frozen, sweating it out. Pivot smoothly with something like, looks like we're all aligned? Fantastic! And glide into your next point. It's not a fumble, it's a recovery that keeps you in command. So let's lock in those pro tips to make this stick. 1. Rehearse your interactive cues until they roll off your tongue. Grab your phone, record yourself, and iron out any stiffness. 2. Time your polls like a DJ spinning tracks. Hit the right beat at the right moment for maximum impact. 3. Prep for Q&A by anticipating what they may ask, but stay loose enough to handle curveballs. 4. When tech throws a tantrum, stay cool as ice. A smile beats a panic attack every time. So, Charlie's locked and loaded for his pitch tomorrow. He's got the skills and the backups ready. But will his Wi-Fi hold steady, or will his screen go dark at the worst possible moment? And what's that one sneaky phrase that could have torpedoed his whole game? We're tying it all up in the next section, so don't miss it. And that brings us to the end of today's Business English podcast. We've just wrapped up our virtual presentation masterclass. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've covered. You're now equipped with a powerful set of tools to captivate an online audience. You've got interactive language cues to keep them interested, polls and Q&A sessions to draw them into the conversation, and the poise to handle tech glitches like a true professional. Remember Charlie, our marketing star in London? His big pitch went live this morning. The Wi-Fi stuttered right in the middle, but he flashed a quick smile, switched to his backup slides, and powered through to a win. That kind of confidence could be yours in your next virtual moment. These skills aren't just about getting through a presentation, they're about standing out. They're your key to connecting with colleagues across continents, impressing clients in far-flung cities, or rallying your team from wherever you're logging in, all while sounding sharp and professional in business English. So here's my parting advice. Don't try to overhaul everything at once. Start small. In your next virtual meeting, experiment with one simple cue, like, "What do you think?" and notice how the energy shifts. Build your confidence from there and watch how these techniques transform your presence. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd love for you to stick with us. Hit the subscribe button and leave us a quick review. It's the best way to keep these insights coming your way. Thanks for joining me on today's podcast. Until next time, keep practicing those skills, keep stepping up to that virtual mic, and of course, keep it strictly business.